Okay,
especially.
my name is Zita Angeli. I'm the grandma to Joe Angeli. And I was 23 years old when I came to the United States. And I'm 92 years old now. And but my experience with Hungary was that the worst part, they threw us out when the Russians came because we were Germans and they wanted us to go to Germany to starve us to death. And they almost succeeded because we had no food.
Just bringing it back to kind of like the beginning, how did you start figuring out like something was going on with like the Russians
This
coming
place,
in and all that kind of stuff? Like, yeah.
well, when the Russians came in, we knew that they used to go and look for girls to rape them, and the young men, the older men were all displaced in like Tante Eva too. They displaced to Russia to work in a gold mine. So my brother was a year and a half younger. They had to stand at night outside to wait that the Russians came, and if we were up in the attic sleeping up there because we were so afraid that the Russians are going to get us. And they did one of them out from our hometown, and it was very scary time. We didn't know if we're going to go to Russia or to Germany by then because they knew Germany was filled. And so the men made a hole in the boxcar. This was the saddest part. And if we going across the Danube, we were going to jump in the Danube and kill ourselves because nobody wanted to go to Russia anymore. And so we didn't go across the Danube. We went straight ahead, and the first thing we stopped was then in Vienna. And they had, I remember, potato soup on a kettle. And that's the first warm meal in had in 2 weeks. Because when the Russian military didn't come to our town because it was small, we had no train going through, so we didn't. But they used to come in at night and look for girls. But then my brother used to go ice skating. We had a little pond, like not a pond, like a little river. And it was frozen, and he went ice skating on it, and then he came back, was scared to death, and he said, "There is a guy frozen into the pond." That was a Russian. He must have been chased by some people that were watching that they don't get the girls. And he probably didn't see that there was water, and he froze to death. So his shoes stood out. And when we got off the boat, there were the stands which we'd never seen before with the sweet rolls, all kinds of stands there that people sold sweet rolls and sandwiches, and they gave us some American money on the boat for when we get here. And so I didn't know any cash. I didn't know what it looks like with a quarter or anything. So I wanted to have two sweet rolls. And the girl said, "Well, so much." And I showed her my hand, and I said, "You take what you need."
Yeah.
Of course, I'm in German. I didn't know English.
What was the acceptance like when you came to America? Were the people here, were they
Jealous.
jealous? How?
Jealous. Very jealous. Because we got jobs. And in 50, you couldn't buy yourself a job. But we all got jobs because of Uncle Rudy. And I had worked with a lot of Polish ladies, and I always thought they talked about me. And I didn't understand anything. So I sat there on my sewing machine and cried and just said tears running down. My floor lady was Polish, and she used to watch me, and she'd come over and say it in English. I know that's what she said. "It's okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay." But it was very hard in the beginning to be accepted. In Germany, they told us that the dirty Germans, I mean the dirty Hungarians. In America, they told us the dirty gypsies.
My name is Brian Kostelik. I am a special agent with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigations. I am the task force commander of the Native American Drug and Gang Initiative. I've been law enforcement going on 24 years. Prior to that, I was the United States Army Infantry, active duty, and National Guard.
I guess like when I was there, you kind of also talked about the like almost the evolution of weaponry in Europe. on either side. I guess if you'd like to touch on that, talk about all the different weaponry.
The MG-34. By the time that Adolf Hitler took over as basically chancellor, and finally, ultimately, the Reich he runs in 1933, we see the German army on the rise. They are now basically coming out of the shadows, and they are ultimately developing more and more weapons. By the time 1938 comes, they start to basically eat up they annex country after country, to the point where we find the British, the French, the American, and the Russians all pretty much flat-foot, because they thought the war to end all wars, that would be it. Eroded. What we start to see is that they cannot get the raw materials that they need. So they start to develop. This is way too expensive and way too complicated, too many parts. They come up in 1942 with the MG-42. Now, these are the same caliber as the MG-08, 7.92 millimeter. The thing with the MG-42 is that this is stamped metal. It's lighter, not as accurate, not as highly engineered. This was known to the American troops as Hitler's buzzsaw. The rate of fire on this was 1,100 rounds per minute. The MG-34 basically was about 900 to 1,000 rounds per minute. When we landed on June 6, 1944 on Omaha, Utah, Sword, Juno, and Gold beaches, the MG-34s were predominantly positioned in different bunkers and systems like that. So this is what the beaches of Omaha were ripped apart with the sacrifice of so many men upon that beach.